Cosmo Macero of O'Neill Associates, Peter Kagis of the Boston Phoenix, not wearing a sweater vest, by the way, in case
I'm pretending I'm in South Carolina.
Oh, very nice. Special edition of the Hitters, boys. You guys were up in Derry yesterday with me and Mary Ann's. Enjoyed a nice breakfast, right?
Excellent bacon.
We never got the cherry pie waffle, but I think we're better off.
You're dieting and you stuck to it. Well done.
That's right.
Mitt's better off for being up in New Hampshire. Obviously, big win. Almost got the 40%.
We talked about that yesterday. A big day for Mitt. I think he did really well last night, too. Early last night, out there right after the polls closed, because he knew he had a decisive victory. And I think it's an important milestone. It's a historic milestone with regard to his status as the only non-incumbent to win both Iowa Republicans and New Hampshire. That propels him forward. All in all, a great day for Mitt Romney.
You know, as a lover of Schadenfreude, it's not enough to succeed, others must fail, Peter. His enemies tanked, so he's got to be loving life today.
Oh, his enemies tanked big time. Listen, Tiffany Gingrich, went nowhere. Pious Rick Santorum was neck and neck with him. It's zany Ron Paul, who was powered by a huge youthful turnout, also by a lot of independents who really came in second. Look, I'm beginning to think that we in the media are making this seem much more complicated than it really is.
We got to sell it, so we've been trying. But the question is this, Cosmo, I'll ask you the obvious follow-up. Is this thing over now?
I think it's getting close. I think that Romney is he's going to be viciously attacked in South Carolina, as we expect. But I think he has the opportunity to plug in with the establishment Republicans in South Carolina. They know where their bread is buttered. They know that they need a candidate who has the organization, and I think that's what really he demonstrated yesterday, the ability to organize on the ground, old-fashioned politics, getting people out, knowing who your supporters are, getting the vote.
Isn't that part of why this leaves a bad taste in people's mouths, Peter, is that the more things change, the more they stay the same. We hear about Twitter, and we hear about social media, and we hear about young people, but what won big yesterday was old-style politics, the old way of doing things. Spend tons of money and have an organization that you've built over 8 years now.
I can't disagree with that. Listen, in South Carolina, the thing to bear in mind is that we in the North have a misunderstanding of how that state works. We tend to think it's a bunch of guys, men and women in Confederate uniforms, dancing around with snakes and biting their heads off chicken. Not at all.
Well, the flag part's true. Well, they do wave it over the state capitol.
But it's as Cosmo alluded to, it's an establishment state. The Republican establishment is solidly behind Romney, and that's going to count. Yeah. Of course, there's a huge entertainment value because politics is so dirty there.
If I'm Romney, I don't relish the idea of Ron Paul sort of kicking around in these other states and nipping at my heels and showing up at the convention and lighting off bottle rockets and whatever. But like I said yesterday, where do these guys have to go? I mean, what path forward do any of these other candidates have? And I just think it's Romney's to lose.
There was a very important development yesterday. It was very quiet, but Romney's Super PAC made a $2.5 million ad buy in Florida. Let's not forget. First is South Carolina, then there's Florida. I'd say if Romney takes those two states, then it's over.
And as you pointed out before, Ron Paul not going to play as much with the geriatric community in Florida as he did with the legalized pot college kids up in New Hampshire.
Oh, right. I mean, you've got Ma and Pa Seinfeld voting in Florida. That's not a Ron Paul crew.
Romney does need to figure out a way, thinking ahead to Obama, how to connect with the American people on his issue, on his core issue of jobs, because people aren't necessarily buying his background as a businessman, number one. And number two, is competence in the ability to run a company enough to be president? No, you got to believe in something. You need to have some kind of core, and he's still missing that. He needs to connect.
Listen, Romney's a job rearranger. He's not a job creator. What you essentially have in Romney is Eddie Haskell running for president.
And taking the grandkids to the movies yesterday. Quickly, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. John Huntsman says yesterday, third place is our ticket to ride. Did you guys laugh as much at that line as I did?
That was a good one. Yeah, it's his ticket to ride into 4 years from now when he's really hoping to make an impact because he's going nowhere.
Huntsman's Romney light.
There was an old line about somebody up here in Beacon Hill. He held up a picture of Jell-O as his personality. Isn't that Huntsman's problem?
I think so. Also, more gray, too much grilled cream. He's trying to get the mint hair. He just can't get it. Just can't get it right.
Peter Cadges of the Phoenix, Cosmo Macero of the Neil Associates. Got to hold it right there. Cosmo, did you want to T-bow one more time?
You know what? You create a moment. You don't want to replicate it. You want to preserve it, respect it. We'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it right there.